Hello! Today we're going to complete Halloween prompts day 5 through 10. Day 5. Let's see what we get. Monster. Okay, well, let's draw a cat that's a monster. So let's sketch out a cat. Yeah. And then what colors should we use? So my sketch wasn't great. That was the first problem. Then I colored the cat like a yellow-orange. It's okay. I erased my pencil lines. And then I was going to draw like stripes on his arms and like different prints on him. So I drew some furs with the orange marker. And his eyes, and then he needs horns because he's a beast, but I didn't like the way that it looked. It wasn't like beastie enough, so I drew him some teeth, and then I colored the floor gray. I also forgot his tail, so he doesn't have a tail. And the gray marker is running out a little bit. And then I used my ruler to draw some tiles. He's at the same party. And then what color should we make the tiles? I decided on this light pink peach orange color. But it was too close to the color that the cat is, so the horns kind of blended into the background. Then I tried this pinkish fuchsia, but it's very different than the peach color, so it wasn't really working. I didn't like it. But I finished the tiles, and then I thought maybe some acrylic markers would help. So I went over the horns with the brownish goldish marker, and his little ears with the yellow orange marker. And then I added some more furs. It's not terrible, it just kind of blends into the background and you can't really see his ears and his horns and his arms. So I tried to go over the horns again. And then I tried to draw his tail, which the marker wasn't working well, and also it's the same color as the peach tiles, so you can't really see his tail. So I tried to lighten the belly a little bit with a lighter yellow marker. And his head and his ears. And now he matches the tiles even more. So let's start over. I cut a piece of cardstock to the right size. I thought maybe giving him some claws on his paws would help, but no. So yeah, let's get our piece of cardstock. And then I remembered my Sharpies, So I got my Sharpies and tried to go over the peach tiles with a darker, like a reddish marker. And I think that was working. The tiles look better now. But here I decided to check the other page, and it was going through to the other side because it's a Sharpie. So I got my piece of cardstock and I drew the tiles and sketched out the little cat shape. With his little horns, but they're a little shorter this time. Maybe that'll help. And I sketched his tail this time. And his little teeth. And then I erased my pencil lines. Then I drew the yellow cat again and gave him some little furs. And then I chose these purples for the tiles. And I tested if it would be better to use both markers, but I decided to just use the Sharpie. Draw all the little squares. And then I went over it with the washable marker to blend it in a little bit better. And then I chose this darker purple for the other tiles. The Sharpies work really well if it's a separate piece of paper because it will go through to the other side a little bit. But since we started over, we can do that for this one. So now we have nice purple tiles. And then I used the acrylic marker for some more furs and his tail. Then I covered up all the furs I had made with the darker orange. And then let's do the floor with this gray Sharpie. And then blend it a little bit with the washable gray. Now we can go back again and add some more fur details. And his eyes and nose and mouth. Some more furs. And his claws and his horns. And his little white teeth. I don't know if it's an improvement or not, but there's our monster. Day 6. Let's see what we get. Vials. Okay. So let's draw a cat who's holding a tray of vials. The cats are all at a party. So this is like a party tray of vials. They're like drinks or something. So I sketched out a cat. It's going to be a girl cat. So what colors should we use? Okay, let's go back to our sketch and finish drawing the cat. And let's make her like a light pink. And we'll leave some space for her dress, and her arm is out because she's holding the tray of vials. So we'll give her a green dress with a yellow shirt. And then the tray is gray. Don't forget her arms. And then erase the pencil lines. And let's see, we can use the acrylic markers for the vials. So let's do the floor. The same gray floor. With just the washable marker this time. And then some little furs around her feet and her arms and ears, and go over her face again. Then her dress has daisies on it. She's a daisy cat. Maybe her name is Daisy. So we'll draw some flowers with white petals and yellow centers. And then we should do the tiles before the vials. So what colors should we use? Let's use our ruler and draw our tiles, and then we'll see what colors. Maybe blues or reds. The colors from the other side that got covered up. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll use this pinkish fuchsia marker. And make some tiles. And then this reddish one, I guess it works. I think this one is my favorite so far. Now for the vials, we can use acrylic markers. So let's get like 4 colors. We have these neon ones, so let's use some neon. And then we'll use this light pinkish whitish marker for the vial bottles. And then let's go with blue. We'll use blue, orange, pink, and green. And then there are bubbles coming out of the vials. They're bubbly. So we'll draw some little bubbles with each of the 4 colors. And then we can outline the bottles a little bit more and draw the tops. And now her face. And we can go over her ears and draw some more little fur details. Use a darker marker to go over the face again and draw the little white spots with the white marker. And then we need to go over the flowers again, so we'll use the acrylic markers and draw the white petals and the yellow centers. And she has one flower on her head. And then let's cut out our word and glue it to the bottom. And there's our vials. Day 7. Let's see what we get. Werewolf. Okay. Well, I guess it's going to be a dog instead of a cat. So let's sketch a dog shape. Maybe he's howling at the moon. So he's standing with his mouth open. I had some trouble with the sketch. I kept erasing it. He kind of looks like the Tyrannosaurus that I made. So then I erased it, mostly. And let's get our watercolors. He's outside because he's howling at the moon. So let's clean our brushes a little bit. And then mix up some blues for the sky. It's nighttime, so it should be a little bit darker, but that's okay. I used a lot of water, so had to keep going over it. And then let's mix up some browns for the ground. And then make it a little bit darker. So keep putting some more brown paint. And then I was worried about the vials on the other side because I like that one. And I wanted to draw the werewolf with the acrylic markers. So I tested it with the moon. And I used my lid from the glue stick to draw a circle for the moon. And then we can see how much it goes through. And the page is very wet from all the watercolors, so let's draw the werewolf on a separate piece and then we'll cut it out like the dinosaurs and glue it on. So then he became a little bit smaller. but that's okay. It's the same sort of shape. It's a Tyrannosaurus werewolf. And then we can use this light brown and go over the shape. He has his little arms out. Yeah, that'll work. It kind of looks like a dog. And then I used a gray to go over like the edges and the outlines. And the far away ear and his nose. Now we need some trees like we did on the cover. So I got some more blue. And then I got confused. So I just started painting trees. So there's some trees there that are floating. And then we needed some bigger ones in the front that are also floating. Yeah, I don't know. I got confused here. But I drew some branches. There's no leaves on these trees, but they have branches. And then maybe one big tree in the front with brown. That'll fix it. I put a lot of water on this front tree here. You gotta be careful because it is cardstock, so it's not really meant for water. And then I wanted the trees to not be floating, so I tried to extend the ground part up a little bit, but the line I had made with the brown the first time was just too much of a line. So I just made the front part darker. And then let's cut out our werewolf dinosaur. I should have made it just a little bit bigger, but that's okay. Maybe it's a puppy. Okay, now we have our werewolf shape. We can draw his face and his claws on his paws. And then let's go over this tree again and add a little bit more brown so it looks like it's in the foreground. Well, the midground, I guess. All the branches look the same, so I added some more. And then let's glue on our werewolf. And I used the brown acrylic marker and dotted some specks or dirt or I don't know. And then I wanted to do it with the blue in the sky, so maybe it's like foggy or misty, or there's specks of something. I could have drawn stars, that might have helped, but that's okay. And then I went over the moon a little bit so it didn't look like the tree was like right in front of it. I don't know. And then let's cut out our word and glue it to the bottom. And there's our werewolf. Day 8. Let's see what we get. Wait, 2 came out. Okay, we got Frankenstein's creature and cauldron. So I want to use markers for Frankenstein's creature, so let's do the cauldron first. We can use the watercolor because this is the front side of the cardstock. So let's sketch a little cauldron. And the cauldron is at the party too, so let's mix up some gray and paint the floor gray. This brush is very loose, so it's a very light gray floor. And then let's use the black watercolor and go over the cauldron. I guess it's sitting on the floor. So I just kept adding more black paint to it around the sides and the edges. And then it needs little feet so it can sit on the floor. And then let's use the ruler and draw some tiles. And then what color should the tiles be? We want what's in the cauldron to be green. So let's try maybe pinks. It's kind of fun to paint the little square tiles. But it was hard to get them with even color because of the brush. So I went over a couple of them again to make them a little bit darker. And then the other tiles, let's see if we can mix some purple in with the pink. But it's too light because it's too much water. So then we'll just use the watercolor pad and not mix it. So these ones are very purple. Lavender, I guess. But that's okay, it works. So we'll go over all of these tiles. Pink and purple. And then we can use what we mixed up to go over the pink ones so they kind of match a little bit better since we have all this extra water. I think that helped it a little bit. Yeah. Okay, now for the stuff inside the cauldron. It's green, so let's use this green watercolor and then we can go over it with the acrylic markers. First, let's use a black one to outline the cauldron. I think this helped a lot. I like the way it looks better with the outline, which I don't usually do like outlines, but it's cute. And then we have lots of greens, so there's a green acrylic and some neons and some glitter ones. So let's use a few of those and just paint some goo in the cauldron. And then it's also bubbling, so we can use the same markers that we used to draw some big bubbles and small bubbles. But some of these markers work really well, so you just push it and it makes a giant bubble. But then you have to keep the paper flat or they'll become streaks. And we don't want that. We want bubbles. And then let's cut out our word and glue it to the bottom. And there's our cauldron. Day 9. Now we can draw our Frankenstein's creature. Okay, so he's at the party too. It's a costume. So we're going to have the same floor and the tiles. So let's sketch that. And then the creature needs like different animal parts. So I kind of sketched that out. He has a mouse ear and a bear ear. And then his arms have different prints. Some are cats. And one has a hoof. So let's do the background first so that we can use the markers for the creature. So for the tiles, let's see. We're going to use browns and oranges for the creature. So let's use our ruler and draw our tiles. And then erase some of the darker lines. Some colors cover up the pencil and some colors don't, so it just depends. And then let's use watercolor. And we'll go with some blue tiles. Don't forget to put a piece of paper in between so you don't get the edges of the pages behind it. Yeah, it's very loose and light blue. But that's okay. We can go over it again if we need to. So we'll paint all the light blue tiles and skip the area where the creature is, and then put some more paint on them so they're a little bit darker blue. And then get a darker blue and make a darker blue and try the other tiles. Well, it's a little bit of a different color. But then I started to get confused. I thought I had messed up. So I just painted all of the tiles, and then we'll figure out which ones are which. Yeah, okay, now they're all blue. So let's just get from the watercolor and not from what we mixed up, and go over the darker ones again. Then we can make sure that we got all the right ones. Did I mess up the first time? Now I'm confused again. I must have, right? Oh well, they're blue tiles. Okay, now for the floor, it's gray. So let's make our gray watercolor and paint the floor and leave space for his legs. I was afraid using the washable markers on top of watercolor would just like blend them together, but it actually works pretty well. So now his mouse ear can be gray with the gray marker. And then his head and his other ear is a bear, so those are brown. And then this leg is a tiger, so it's orange with little black stripes. And then his body and his other leg is cow. The hoof is very big, but that's okay. So I drew the little cow spots. And his eyes, he has one little eye and one big eye. And then this arm is like a cheetah, so it's orange with spots. Don't forget the claws and the pink parts inside the ears. And then this arm is a bear. That works. And then draw his face and his eye shinies and his bear fur, and then he has a mouse tail. Yeah, and let's cut out the word and glue it to the bottom. And there's our Frankenstein's creature. Day 10. Well, I kind of liked having two choices, so let's get two. Wisteria and beast. Okay. So I saw this tutorial from Amy Art of a wisteria tree with watercolor, and I wanted to do that. So let's do that on this page since it's the front side of the cardstock and it should work a little bit better with the watercolor. So let's sketch out our scene. We can have a big tree right in the middle and maybe some water down at the bottom and maybe some more trees in the background. I don't know. So let's get some blue watercolor and paint the sky after we clean our watercolor tray, lid, palette. A nice light blue because it's daytime. The word tried to escape. And then we'll make some green for the grasses. But leave a space for the water. It's like a pond, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just dot some clumps of grasses. And then I had to look up the video again because I got confused again. Okay, now we're back. Let's paint in the water area and try to make it look like waves. by painting it across instead of like dots for the clumps of grasses. And that should make it look wavy. It kind of does. Okay, let's draw our tree. It's supposed to be like a Y shape, which I guess this kind of is, but I don't know. I think it's already messed up. But let's get the light purple and draw the clumps of hanging flowers off of the branches. And maybe there's some in the middle on other branches. And then we can use the darker purple and draw the darker hanging flowers. And then go over the branches a little bit and add a couple of extra ones. And then we need some more clumps of flowers to kind of balance the tree out a little bit better. I don't know. It's okay. It doesn't look like the one in the tutorial at all, but that's okay. And then we can use our purple acrylic markers and draw the little flower details. And some more little flowers hanging down. The flowers aren't bad, it's just the shape of the tree isn't really working for me, but that's okay. Then we can use the green washable marker and draw some little clumps of grasses and grass blades around the water. And then some leaves in the tree. And then we can go over the waves a little bit with the blue marker. And just add some details. And then the darker green marker, draw some more leaves and grasses. And then we can go over the tree with the brown washable markers and put some highlights. And then let's cut out our word and glue it to the bottom. And there's our wisteria. Thanks for watching. Have a happy day.